The Sault Ste. Marie Chamber of Commerce celebrated 130 years of operation yesterday afternoon at their General Assembly hosted by the Machine Shop. On TV stopped by to speak with Chamber CEO Rory Ring about why Sault business has a newfound excitement around it.
Well, we're actually at the Machine Shop in their main facility, their main venue, and we're celebrating our 130th annual general meeting. It's a pretty appropriate place to be doing it, given the long history that this building has had with our community and what's happening in transforming it into a tourism destination and a music venue. It's really exciting with the steel plant coming out of CCAA, and that certainly makes people feel more secure as well. And I think you're starting to see a younger generation really care about its community, but also it's engaging, long-term residents that have been here and getting them excited about the possibility of the future that our youth see in the community. Our young professional group, Strive, is, really trying to mobilize the young professional and young entrepreneurs and get them excited about the opportunities that are here for a future. So Perrin Beatty, he's the president and CEO of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, and he's had quite a long history in politics and in business, and also with the Canadian Chamber and the Canadian manufacturer and exporters. So he's got a long history of being connected to not just politics, but to business as well. So he really is able to bring those two worlds together and really give, I think, national leadership and really present to our politicians and our public service what it means to have a prosperous Canada, a competitive Canada, and how that really, business drives prosperity, right? Governments don't create jobs, they don't create wealth, they don't create prosperity, but what they can create is the environment to make those things flourish. And I think some of Perrin's comments today around what we're seeing in the election is a lack of platform that really draws attention to that. How do we get better productivity in Canada? How do we be more competitive? How do we have better tax regulation? How do we look at just regulation in general to make sure that we're making it conducive for businesses to flourish and create prosperous communities?
On Monday, City Police arrested 35-year-old Dylan Jocko of London, Ontario for assault. Police say on September 3rd, while in custody at the Sault Ste. Marie Courthouse, the accused struck another person in custody. The victim was taken to hospital to be evaluated. The accused is charged with 1 count of assault, 1 count of breach of peace bond, and 1 count of breach of probation. He was held for bail court. Ontario's top court is expected to rule today in the case of a Toronto area family that fought to keep their daughter on life support after she was declared brain dead. Taquisha McKitty was 27 when doctors declared her dead by neurological criteria in September of 2017 following a drug overdose that left her unconscious. Her relatives went to court to prevent doctors from taking her off life support, arguing her Christian faith defines death as the cessation of heartbeat, not brain function. They argued the Charter of Rights and Freedoms requires doctors to make accommodations for religious beliefs in making that determination of death, and were granted an injunction to keep McKitty on a respirator until the case was resolved. An Ontario Superior Court judge ruled against them in the summer of 2018, saying the charter does not apply to McKitty because it only protects persons, and a clinically dead patient is not legally a person. The family challenged the ruling, arguing that determining and certifying death is a function delegated by the state and therefore subject to scrutiny under the charter. Lawyers representing McKitty's doctor, meanwhile, argued the family's appeal relies on evidence that was rejected by the lower court judge and that it misstates several facts. They said the judge was correct to find brain death is death in the eyes of the law, and that this definition does not infringe on charter rights. The appeal ruling expected today will have no impact on McKitty herself. The woman's family said her heart stopped in December of 2018, rendering her dead, in their view. 4 teens face first-degree murder charges after a 14-year-old boy was stabbed to death outside a Southern Ontario high school, adding that police believe the murder was premeditated. Hamilton Police Detective Sergeant Steve Bereziak declined to offer many details about the death of Devon Selvey, who was stabbed Monday afternoon just outside his school as his mother looked on. But at a news conference announcing the latest developments in the case, Bereziak said investigators believe the incident was clearly targeted. Bereziak said police arrested a 14-year-old boy and 18-year-old man hours after the alleged stabbing, adding both have since been formally charged with first-degree murder. 2 other suspects, a boy and a girl, both 16, have since been arrested and will soon be charged with first-degree murder as well. The RCMP say charges have been laid against 2 Quebecers for their alleged involvement in a cyber attack of Bell Canada customer accounts. Nana Koranteng and Josiah Russell Francis of Montreal are to appear on charges including unauthorized use of a computer, fraud over $5,000, conspiracy to commit fraud, laundering proceeds of crime, identity theft, and identity fraud. The Mounties began the investigation dubbed Project Abalone in 2018 after it was notified that some Bell accounts were breached and personal information was actually stolen. The RCMP say the suspects were identified after a number of stolen accounts were used to fraudulently purchase goods online.